It's time for Wave 3 Listens Live on Kentuckiana's first live local TV talk show, all hosted by John Ramsey. This is Wave 3 Listens Live.
And welcome to the first day of spring, and welcome to Wave 3 Listens Live. We've got a packed show once again. Let's take a look at the rundown. Here's what's on today's show. It's World Down Syndrome Day, actually tomorrow, which is the 21st. We'll talk about that a little bit and how you can help. The search for the next big thing. It's kind of like Shark Tank. You could win $10,000, and we'll tell you how you can do it. Face It movement to prevent child abuse. Folks, child abuse has all kinds of faces, but it's going to take your face, my face, to stop it. We'll talk about that coming up here shortly. Dr. Karam, one of my favorite guests, is a licensed marriage and family therapist. If you have an issue with your marriage, with your family, whatever the case may be, give us a call, 571-5263. Dr. Karam will take those coming up here very shortly. And Run With Our Heroes. We have two very special guests. One guy I think you're going to be familiar with, and Gwen Cooper is with us. She is with 7 County Services, and we're going to talk about Run With Our Heroes and how 7 County Services and John Bowl have jumped in to help. Gwen, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Mr. Bowl, you look very fit. You better be ready for that Derby Marathon.
Oh, I'm going to try 26 this time. This will be my 26th straight year of doing the mini or the marathon. And I can't think of a better cause than working with Gwen here.
You know, that's what's great about it is if you've run the marathon before or the mini and you want a cause, we have one for you so you can run with purpose. It might actually help your time a little bit. John, has it motivated you to run for your heroes?
I don't need much motivation, but it, you know what it motivates me is when my life intertwines with veterans, like my father-in-law. I was just home, saw him a couple of days ago. He's turning 90 this year, and he was on Omaha Beach rolling in, and he's received a lot of veteran support back in Beloit, Wisconsin, where I'm from, all the way up to on a daily basis when I see homeless people in Louisville, down here by McDonald's, and many of them are veterans. 10% of the homeless population in Louisville right now are veterans. Interesting,
and to that point, I was reading, Gwen, and you can help me out here, by the way. I do want to chat with your tie-in here. I know I'm chatting too much here, but 40% of veterans come home with some kind of behavioral health issue. Right. That's where 7 County Services come in. How did you come up with this idea, Gwen, and tell folks how they can get on the team?
Well, it's very important for us to serve our veterans. We've got 75,000 right now in Metro Louisville and another 20,000 that are supposed to come home by 2020. We have a peer support program that we are expanding for vet to talk to each other and work with each other. So it was easy to come up with an idea of how do we expand veteran services, how do we expose the need for veteran services, and everybody in my family is active soldier right now. So it's personal.
Right. Yes.
Right. It's very personal.
You'll have to thank them for you and
They're
your father-in-law as well.
They're coming and running with me.
Oh, good.
So we will have active soldiers running on our team.
You had mentioned to me, Gwen, that the team is strong as we sit, already 50 members.
Yes.
But we can always take more. John, if you would, tell everyone, you know, there's usually a personal story involved. You already talked about your father-in-law. But 7 County Services, there's a personal story there as well. You've done a number of features about 7 County Services and the work that they do. I know you were talking to Gwen about future stories.
I tell you what, I mean, let's just be honest and transparent here. On a weekly basis, I'm speaking at places in the world of recovery. And that's most people know my story, and that's what 7 County Services is all about. I'm running into people all the time in my particular world of recovery who are being helped by 7 County Services at different steps on the road, maybe than I'm at, but I mean, we all need it.
Exactly.
We're all poster families for 7 counties. We just don't realize it. The child sitting next to your child in school may be one of the kids that we serve. The child sitting next to your child in school might be the son or daughter of a veteran.
Yeah.
So it's just this huge circle, and this is one way for us to create this incredible visual of Run With Our Heroes, not run for them, but run with them, because we're all part of the same community.
All right, we want you to show your patriotism, and here's how it works now. And correct me if I'm wrong, but first of all, you have to sign up for the Derby, for the run, and go to the Derby Festival, Kentucky Derby Festival site and sign up there. Once you do that, then you tell them what they have to do after that, Gwen.
And if some people don't want to run the mini or the marathon, but they want to be part of the team, they still go to the active.com/donate/7 counties. Minimal donation of $25, you become part of our team. Okay. You get your T-shirt, your pasta ticket.
I forgot to ask you, are you fast?
No. I'm running the 10-miler on Saturday. We'll see.
I'm not even running the 10-miler, so
You're going to jump right in, right?
Yeah, I did the Triple Crown last year, and I'm just going to jump right into the full marathon.
I did have my PR in the 10K.
Which is? Can you tell us?
No.
Oh man.
Not disclosing.
I meet people all the time who they I'm not fast, and then I see them go by me in some of these races. You know.
I'm curious, Joe. What will you average per mile if you run that full marathon?
The full marathon. 8 minutes per mile.
That's pretty darn good.
No, I won't this time. The last time I ran it, I averaged like 9s. I came in just under 4 hours. So I've been as fast as 3.5, as slow as just under 4. Mini marathon, I used to do hour 31. Now it's like hour 40, almost hour 50.
Yeah, and you broke your toe the other day.
I broke my toe. Yeah,
it was something. He was doing something that was extremely athletic, folks.
Trying to get around a love seat at my parents' house. Yeah, stubbed my toe and broke it. So,
ouch.
But I'll be fine.
It'll hurt the training.
That's right.
But it's a great way to show your patriotism. You know, you say all the time, I'm proud to be an American. I'll back those veterans. Well, now you can prove it. Help out 7 county services and join the team. And I want to make sure I get this right. It's Run with Our Heroes. So again, Gwen, invite everyone out. You've got 50 strong so far, $25, and you mentioned, but we want to talk about this, pasta dinner.
Yes.
It's like you got to carb up, right, John?
Yes. You know what true carbo loading is, don't you? It is starving yourself for a couple of days, having like nothing for a couple of days before, then like on the Wednesday, Thursday, then you carbo load Friday. That's the way the African runners initially did it. We think of carbo loading typical American way, like just shoveling in the carbs.
Like you do anyway.
No, it's like a sponge. You want to void it of all carbs for a couple days, then pile it in on Friday before the race.
Gotcha. And that would include, for me, when I carb up, it's like a few frosty wheat sodas. That's allowed. Anything you want, pasta's allowed, right? It's okay.
After the race.
After the race. Okay,
After
gotcha.
the race.
All right. Once again, we encourage you, show your patriotism. Help out 7 county services. There we go. There's the information there, John. And John, I'll let you do the little pitch. You know, you're always reading the news. Let's see your sales ability here. Tell
okay, so
you.
The Kentucky Derby Festival Mini Marathon. Go to derbyfestivalmarathon.com/registration.
With heart. Come on.
Okay. Now the main thing is, if you can't find the way to register for this, you can't exist
Just
in our
go to
society.
our website.
Yeah, go to 7 counties. They'll guide you right there. I was on there just today, and there's lots of little sidebars and who's donated how much, etc. Get involved. So many different causes to run when it comes to the mini marathon. It makes you feel better if you're running with purpose. So many, pretty much, I'd have to say almost half of the people, it seems like these days, in the mini marathon are running for some type of organization or a purpose, right?
They are, and we're the newest charity.
Yeah.
And we wanted to make the biggest splash. And
yeah, it's on Facebook too. You can check the Run with Our Heroes on Facebook.
Well, I think 50 strong, and John Ball, everyone loves John, so I think you'll have a great success.
Wait, I want to ask Gwen, I haven't asked you yet, there's a guy who runs most of the local races with a great big American flag, heavy.
Bring him.
Is he, do you know if he's running yet?
I don't. If you give me his name, we'll find out.
We got to find out on
Yeah.
April 9th on the get-together, the initial get-together here, if he's running, because he's amazing. Have you ever seen the guy running the races with the big American flag? Do you know how hard it is to do that for like 13 or 26 miles?
I can't imagine.
You can't even use the one arm, you know, when you're running.
Well, John said he's going to put on Army boots. Didn't you say he was going to put on Army boots in full
Yeah,
gear?
somebody asked me if they had to wear
Fatigues.
Army boots today.
I've done stories on double amputee veterans doing the Ironman triathlon, stopping every 5 miles to dump out the cups of blood and put their prosthetics back on and hit it. These guys are such studs.
They are studs.
Yes.
They are studs. Be a stud, all right? Run with your heroes. You can do it at the Derby Marathon. Now, John's going to run the full marathon, so you'll continue.
I'm not.
You're not?
No.
Come on.
I'll continue, right? I'll be stumbling,
13th.
walking. Yeah.
All right, make it happen, and make it happen for 7 county services. John, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Gwen.
you
Really
very
appreciate
much.
you coming on.
We appreciate
All right,
it.
coming up, Dr. Eli Karam is here. If you have an issue with your family, with your marriage, we all do. It's okay. You can change the name to protect the innocent. We're going to talk to Dr. Eli coming up, 571-5263. We'll be right back on Wave 3 Listens.
If we get the call, just cut me off.
Here, just in case.
You got
Welcome back. Once again, it's the first day of spring. We are celebrating with Dr. Eli Karam. He is with the Kentucky Association of Marriage and Family Therapists. If you have a question, any issue you may be facing, we'll talk a little bit about some issues that may be entering your family. Hopefully not. If so, let's get in front of those. Dr. Karam, what issues, we've handled many on this show.
We have.
But your practice in general, what do you see a lot of? Do you see a lot of maybe alcohol, drug abuse problems?
Yep.
Marital problems, of course, very common.
Right. Marriage and family therapists, as we talked about many times, are going to work with the person in all of their interpersonal contexts, meaning you don't have to be in a relationship or come with your family. However, many people do. But it could be anything affecting your relational health. So you're having trouble with a relationship, or you have a family member that's going through something. John mentioned maybe addiction or some type of substance abuse problem, or you're just navigating these normal hurdles in the family life cycle, as it happens all the time. So marriage and family therapists see people through strength and health. That's what we try to do each and every week on the show, and take your calls and your emails. So let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's open them up. First of all, let's start with an email. And by the way, if you're looking for a therapist, perhaps you say, you know, I do want to see a therapist, but I want to do it in private. Therapistlocator.net. Therapistlocator.net. Or you can go to the other website as well.
Yeah,
right?
you can go, there's therapistlocator.net on the screen, and you click on that little red rectangle, locate a therapist. You put in your zip code, and then you will get a list of therapists with their profile. 400 marriage and family therapists licensed in the state of Kentucky, many of them centrally located in Wave Country. You find the person you want to work with and call, and any marriage and family therapist should be able to talk to you 5 or 10 minutes, and you can go from there. You can also go to our website, www.kamft.org, and that will have not only links to all of our past segments for the past year on the show, but it'll also have lots of good news for you out there, the viewer.
You know, I had one of our viewers who was watching talked about you, and they said you were the Fraser Crane of Louisville.
Okay.
Yeah, you're on another level, though. Not radio, you're on television.
He had a
here.
good run, Fraser Crane. Yeah.
All right, here we go, Fraser. We
All
are
right.
listening as we speak. To Dr. Eli, I have a parent suffering from early onset dementia. My friend just recommended a book to me about ambiguous loss. Does that term fit my situation? And how could a therapist from the KAMFT help me and my family with this? Ambiguous loss, interesting term. Doc, you want to handle this one? Yes.
Sure. That's a great question, Dora. And your friend is probably talking about Dr. Pauline Boss. She kind of coined this term over 30 years ago. So ambiguous loss refers to when someone is physically present, but not psychologically there. Normally through dementia or some type of traumatic brain injury. So your loved one, sometimes your partner, sometimes your parent in this case for Dora, is not fully there. So you have really gone through many of these stages of grief that we associate with physical death, someone leaving us, but with the person's body still there. So you go through, anger, confusion, denial, and also grief. And many people, when there is ambiguous loss, they are so busy taking care of the loved one that they don't take time to grieve. So yes, that book could certainly help, but a marriage and family therapist is going to be able to work with you, and in this case, Dora, if you have a parent, maybe your spouse or your other adult siblings, to kind of put a plan together, not only to take care of that parent with dementia, but also to go through these stages of grief. And many people delay this, and then when their parent physically dies, they are hit with as normally one would be, but almost a double whammy of all this kind of grief that they have suppressed and pushed down. So ambiguous loss, it happens also. You could also see it referred to when somebody is missing, and they've been missing a long time, so they have not been buried, but they are not present, but you still have to deal with all of the emotions. So marriage and family therapists are going to help you, whether it's you alone or you and your loved ones, help you deal with ambiguous loss. Thank you.
You know, I remember, I think it was Nancy Reagan when her husband was going through dementia, and I think he had Alzheimer's. And she said it was the long goodbye. And I think the caretaker worries so much about the person in their family, and they worry very little about themselves. And like you said, help them with that. That's a tough situation.
It is.
All right, I've got a caller on. Great. Welcome to the show. Sherry, good afternoon to you, and welcome to the first day of spring. How are you, Sherry?
Hi, fine.
Hey, Sherry. What's your question?
My question is, and I hope I'm wording it correctly. My mom is having some problems since her husband died, and I think she has Alzheimer's or dementia. And she's having some financial problems, and she needs to take care of her house. But she resists any suggestions that I make. And I don't know how to get her to find out about the dementia or at least make decisions. She won't make any decisions at all.
Yeah,
None.
yeah, I appreciate that. That's actually a nice follow-up call to our email. So, Sherry, do you have other siblings, or are you the only kind of support for your mom after the passing of your father?
I actually have another sibling, but I think that she is part of the problem.
Okay. In what way? Can I ask real quick? In what way is she part of the problem?
Well, she's been financially dependent on my mom for the past 30 years.
Right. So she's invested in the current arrangement, right? So what I would do is, it's very difficult when you lose a longtime spouse. Many of, again, these stages of grief, they can be, again, extreme sadness, extreme confusion, especially if you've relied on your spouse to function in a certain role, and then you're a grown adult, but you don't know how to do some of these basic things because you have relied on your partner for so many years to do those things. So many of those things mimic confusion, memory loss. However, the best thing to do is obviously you want to get your mom checked out, and you want to suggest that she go and see a neurologist or go to her general doctor and get a screen. And if she resists that, we have these natural consequences when people cannot maintain and there's an accident or they can't pay a bill. Sometimes the natural consequences necessitate these other forms of intervention. But I would try to pull together with your network of people that care about your mom, let her know that you're not trying to do any harm, that you want to help her, and that you understand it's confusing after the loss of your father, and you also are going to need help from that sibling. And even if that sibling has benefited financially, the sibling is going to feel the pain too when there's no more money to go around, as you're saying is happening. So a marriage and family therapist, if you would consult them either individually, if you can't get your mom in initially, would help you put a plan together, and would also be skilled in reaching out to your mom and your sister or brother to help set that up and put a plan together. And also would work collaboratively with a primary care physician who, obviously your mom definitely needs to see one of those as well. So I hope that's helped, and thank you for your call. I appreciate it.
Interesting. Doctor, how often, when you have an issue like that, family that involves maybe parents or kids, how often is it that you're seeing more than one person, that they come in as a group? Do you usually get one person who is reluctant? I know that happens in marriage, with the marriage family therapist.
We call them, in family therapy in general, always somebody is the customer, John, right? So they're making the call. And the skill that separates marriage and family therapy from other health disciplines, again, we think it's systemically in this relational way. So we expand the system. So even if you start individually, a marriage and family therapist, licensed marriage and family therapist, an LMFT is going to be able to reach out and get what we call the buy-in and collaborate, even with the most disinterested member of the family. Because it's great when people come in with the same amount of motivation, but often they do not. Often somebody is dragging their feet, especially if they are what we call the identified patient, the person that thinks the problem is going to get detoured to them. So marriage and family therapists, again, see everybody as part of the solution. Everybody has to take accountability for their part, but they will help you kind of reach out to these reluctant family members. A very good question.
And a lot of it is proactive, too. If you're thinking about getting married, if you're getting into a relationship, and you have some red flags, this is a good time to get in front of those so that it works out. Dr. Eli's in the house. If you have a question, 571-5263. We have one more segment with him. We'd love to hear from you.
Call in.
Dr. Eli, call. Dr. Fraser Crane is here. We'll be right back on Wave 3 Listens. Welcome back to Wave 3 Listens. We try to do this every Thursday as often as we can when Dr. Eli's schedule allows. We are opening up the phone lines for your issues with your family, with your husband, with your wife, 5715263. I have an email that was sent to you through the KAMFT site there.
Yep.
Dr. Eli, here we go. We are going through the college decision process in my family right now. My daughter has always excelled in school and has earned the chance to attend some top-tier institutions. My husband and I differ on this. He believes she can thrive at University of Louisville for a fraction of the price it would take to attend more prestigious out-of-state universities. While it would be financially a sacrifice for us, I believe it is more than worth it. My daughter and I are on the same page here, but my husband is being uncooperative. Can an MFT help us negotiate this crucial life decision? You know, I see both sides of this story. You know, college is expensive.
It sure is.
And I think University of Louisville, I think it's a great institution, and there's some programs that are really, really good at. I mean, some of the best in the country in some programs. Engineering,
sure.
I think it's one of the best. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, certainly, I'm a faculty member at the University of Louisville in the Marriage and Family Therapy program at the Kent School of Social Work, so I think that's a great place. But the question is a really good one and a common dynamic, especially this time of year. We're about less than a month shy where high school seniors all over the country are making their decisions. So let's break that down and maybe turn it into some tips. So certainly, it sounds like from the email, your daughter has earned a spot, and if you can get into some of those top tier institutions, and if you've been a good child, it's sometimes hard for parents to deprive their child of the opportunity. However, in our financial reality that we're in, college is a family decision. It's not a one-person decision. So there has to be some dialogue about the financial situation and what can you invest and not. Now, it sounds like your husband believes that the scholarship to U of L outweighs all other opportunities. So probably when you have a polarized stance, you taking one side and your husband taking the others, that's not very good. And also what we call a coalition. You got a triangle there at home. It sounds like you aligning with your daughter against your husband. That's no good. So what you want to do, and a marriage and family therapist can help you do this, you want to, first of all, get a fair financial picture of what that's going to look like, both out of state, and sometimes too, when you're going out of state, you have to think of the other costs, cost of living, what it's going to be, you travel back and forth versus staying local. So you want a full kind of financial picture. But then that's just the nuts and bolts. You also want to understand really what's at stake, and you want to include your daughter in that. Many children, especially high-achieving teenagers now, the expectation from their parents is to have some type of financial stake or a piece of the action, if you will, in the financial part of college, whether that be loans, whether that be jobs. So if you want to go, then you and your husband and your daughter should have a talk of how much financial responsibility will your daughter take on. And that is a series of dialogues. It's also the fit at the school. If your husband is reluctant and he doesn't want to go and see the school, it's really hard to make an informed decision without physically going, imagining your daughter there, imagining the family visiting there. So it's a series of conversations. It's talking about the financial picture. It's talking about what is the best fit, and it's also for the young person, how much of a financial investment are they willing to take in that. Marriage and family therapists can help you have that dialogue, and they do all the time. Again, so you want to call when you check Therapist Locator, the website. You want to ask how comfortable is the marriage and family therapist working with emerging adult issues, transition to college, and they're not just going to help your daughter in this case find the right school. They're going to help you and your husband get on the same page, because if you're not, it's going to be a hard transition either way. And there's nothing you want to we talk about these transitions anyway when you launch a child in an empty nest. What complicates it if both parents even aren't on the same page as far as where their child's going. So congratulations to your daughter, and I hope you guys can work out a solution that works for all three of you. Thanks.
Very good. It's tough. I can make an argument either way on this one.
How'd you do this with your son?
I was fortunate. My wife and I saw eye to eye on this. We thought we picked the best institution for him. He liked it. He earned a small scholarship, maybe I think a third of the cost, so it was still rather expensive. But we agreed that this is the best fit for him. We didn't have a dilemma here. But I can understand both sides of that. I mean, there's the money issue for one. There's also the going away, and that's another issue. I'm sure you face that a lot. Is like, okay, mom wants the son to stay at home close to her, and dad says, he needs to get out on his own, and then you have that dilemma. There's all kinds of
that's
layers
the subtext for a lot of people. It's like, well, you could just stay here. You can get the education here. So you love your child, but you're not really prepared yourself to have them launch. You're not ready for that empty nest, but you haven't dealt with that reality, so you kind of come up with other rationalizations or excuses. So again, a marriage and family therapist, an LFT, is going to also, when they're working with the family, they'll tap into the couple dynamics, and they'll work with that too. And also sometimes you need to know that it works. Sometimes, again, the problem is detoured on one person versus making everybody kind of own their part in it, which is what a good family therapist does.
All righty. Brian is with us now. Brian, good afternoon. Welcome to the show. Hi, Brian.
How you doing?
No,
hey, Brian. What's going on?
What do you have?
Every day above ground's a good day.
All right, Brian, what's your issue?
I've got 5 brothers and sisters, and after our mother died 12 years ago, everything just kind of fell apart. Is that normal?
Well, when you say fall apart, do you mean like communicating, doing things together as a family, celebrating holidays, things like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we have Christmas at my sister's, and I will see her again next Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Right. So when you have a really strong person that pulls people together, that unifies people, it sounds like your mother, it is very natural, first of all, as we've been talking about today, to have grief or maybe extended grief. But then, again, if you've over-relied on that person to bring everybody together, to make the linkages, to host the events, it might not be that you have any really fallout or cutoff with your siblings, but no one has really kind of picked up the charge. So I would kind of challenge you to, I mean, do you have any tension with your siblings, or is it just not sure who's going to initiate and kind of take over for your mom as far as stepping up in that way?
My next younger sister has done that to an extent, but she can only do so much.
Right. So I would, especially if there's no kind of outstanding problem or tension, I would take a little of that on yourself, and I would call up your siblings, and I would start by just having the dialogue. Acknowledging kind of the elephant in the room that, wow, we really don't talk as much as we could, but there's no reason we can't. And then if those conversations go well, I would set something up, and probably to include, at least give everybody the opportunity. There's nothing worse when you're trying to repair a tear in a sibling or family relationship when you exclude one sibling or family member. So I would take that on, and I would invite all of them and get the dialogue going on the phone, and then set up the face-to-face. And I hope you can reconnect. But a really good call. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the call. We've got another email real quick. Once again, you can go to Therapist Locator if you're looking for a therapist, or kamft.org, right?
That's right.
If you'd like to send an email. I have a son that is 21 years old and still lives at home. He's a great young man. He stays out of trouble, but drives me totally crazy by staying out extremely late most nights. He goes to work, leaves the house at 7 a.m., but doesn't come home until sometimes 3 or 4 a.m. I understand that he's an adult, but I can't sleep worrying if he is home safe. I have told him how important it is to get a good night's sleep, and it's not safe to be driving without sleep. Any advice about how to handle this? I have even suggested that if he's going to be out all night, to call me so I can rest. He just won't do it, and he won't answer his phone. Susan.
Okay. Susan sent this one in the last time I was on, and she didn't want to be on the air, but she was really worried. And so I think when I listen to that, so Susan is obviously a mother that very cares about her son. So I guess a couple of issues. 21-year-old living at home, not uncommon now, but is there a plan to move out? Is he just permanently in this limbo state and staying there, or is it a temporary as far as him launching and moving on? But most, parents that house their adult children, there is some understanding, whether it be kind of implicit or explicit, as written out